Hello there, in this video we'll be reacting to part 3 of What If Dooku Stole Anakin Skywalker After Qui-Gon's Death. This video is made by Fantasy Folklore, so make sure to check his channel out, the link is in the description. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into reacting.
Before you start this video, make sure to watch part 1 and part 2 of Pinte Patrol and the Star Wars Galaxy. The link will be in the description.
We already have, in part 1 and part 2 were both absolutely very good what ifs. So let's see how Fantasy Folklore finishes this what if off with part 3.
And after you finish those parts, come back here for the final conclusion to the story.
We're ready.
Let's continue the story 4 years into the future.
Ooh.
Anakin looks to his left to see Dooku standing next to him, a blue sapphire blade ignited as they push through the heat of the battle. Their ears are filled with blaster fire and bomber shuttles soaring overhead. They were leading the siege of Obadiah in the latest battle between the Void and the New Confederacy.
What? The siege of Obadiah between the Void and the what the hell are these factions?
A stalemate between the two groups had formed in recent years, which had disheartened the new president, Dooku. Over the previous
president? What the hell?
Years, Dooku continued to have visions of a Zabrak warrior, the same vision he had during the peak of the Clone Wars. This worried Dooku deeply. With Palpatine's death, he expected the darkness to completely diminish. However, this was not the case, and its presence remained. He was now president of the Confederacy and vice president.
Bro, is this like the Confederate States of America? It's called the Confederacy and bro's president.
Anakin by his side. They spent their initial years following the end of the Clone Wars implementing changes into their new regime to differ it from the Republic. Dooku expected...
One thing though, he's saying regime. So, are they kind of a dictatorship, or what?
He and Anakin to be able to do this in the background whilst their military dealt with the Void, a faction of crime syndicates united under one.
So Maul's probably leading him here then. We've got the Pikes, the Black Sun, the Hutts, the Pirates. I mean, we got Hondo Naka here. Who else was there? I mean, there was a lot of other crime factions.
Rule and pioneered by Jabba the Hutt. Dooku knew they had to rid the galaxy of the crime syndicates to truly move forward. However, the lack of efficacy of their military against the Void started to anger Dooku. He and Anakin had stayed out of the fight this entire time, utilizing their time more effectively.
Bro, if they entered the fight, they would help a lot.
Effectively in the political sphere instead of on the battlefield. But the stalemate had gone on too long as they decided together once again to join the front line. This brings us to the Battle of Obadiah, as Dooku and Anakin stand side by side, blue blades drawn as they stride across the drawbridge, holding the gate to the capital city, Zyphros. With the city captured, Obadiah will be theirs, and this victory against the Pike Syndicate
that will be a big victory, you know?
It will deal a destructive blow to the Void, which will bring an end to years of long stalemate and turn the side of the war with the Void in their favor. However, as they push forward, droids and citizen military screaming battle cries on either side, with laser fire ringing through their ears, and Dooku and Anakin felt something was wrong in the Force. They felt a dark presence emerge, and for a second, Dooku wondered if somehow Palpatine had returned. But he knew this was impossible. He cast this aside and continued moving forward. They were so close, putting the dark presence in the back of his mind, until what he saw with his eyes could no longer deceive him. A group of warriors with an affinity for the Force made themselves known. They emerged from behind the Void's defenses, wielding Crimson Force tridents, whips, and other unique weapons of the dark side, all
so these are just like street kids, but Sith.
Clad in matte black armor. But they didn't capture Anakin and Dooku's attention. They were focused on the alien behind them, the Zabrak, which Dooku had no doubt seen in his visions. But he was more clear now. He was real, and in this moment, he realized who he was.
Maul has basically like created his own Inquisitors or some shit like that.
The deceased Darth Maul had returned, and it all became clear to Dooku. Maul had survived his death at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi and spent over a decade in the shadows, consolidated at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. All became clear to Dooku. Maul had survived his death at the hands of
Oh, yeah,
Obi-Wan
that's what we're
Kenobi
talking
and
about.
spent over a decade in the shadows, consolidating his power and waiting for the right time to make his return. Dooku turned to Anakin to tell him this revelation, whilst Anakin looked back with a worried look. They had faced Dark Jedi in the past, from the splintered Jedi.
Let's be honest though, Maul and a few Force users, I mean, they're gonna get cooked by Anakin and Dooku.
Order who joined the Void for their own personal gain. But this was different. This group of Dark Warriors were united, and no doubt backed by their leader, Maul's strength. But what put Dooku on edge the most was the timing of this encounter. There must be a reason Maul is revealing himself now, conveniently when he and Anakin return to the battlefield. This was a setup, a trap. In an instant, Maul and his Dark Warriors pushed forward, pushing past the Void's military to start slicing through the front lines of the Confederacy's battle droids.
Okay.
Anakin and Dooku responded in kind, shifting their focus to the dark side wielders in front of them.
Shit.
They fight on the edge of the bridge. Anakin engages the group of Dark Warriors by himself. His power had increased significantly as he continued to train in the Force over
He can clap him.
these past 4 decades and was widely known as the strongest Force user in the galaxy. He ducked under the first thrust from the trident and went to cut it in half, but his lightsaber bounced off as he realized it must be imbued with Beskar. A Force whip came for his throat, but he held it back with one hand, using the Force, whilst his other hand held up his saber as he blocked a crimson saber attempting to cut him in half whilst in front of him.
Oh, wow.
A dagger soared through the air towards his throat. At the last second, Anakin cast up a Force bubble as the dagger bounced off, and he twisted to slice down the Dark Wielder of the Force whip and push back the wielder of the Crimson Blade.
Someone explain to me in the comments, by the way, how Force whips were effective. In what way?
Himself, as he knew he had a fight on his hands. Meanwhile, Dooku stands across from Maul, the tension of the battle rising. Dooku spoke first, declaring that Maul will die here. Whatever alliance he has with the Void is insignificant, as he won't live long enough to carry out his futile plans. But Maul smirks in response, proclaiming that he'll gut Dooku here like he did his apprentice.
Whoa.
Silence ensues as Maul follows, explaining that everything that's happened the last 4 years has been because of his imagination. He and the Dark Jedi aligned with him have stayed hidden for all this time and forced this very stalemate to lure himself and Anakin out to Obadiah to kill them and turn the tide of power in the galaxy.
Maul, Anakin is a chosen one. He's trained super much since he was a little kid. And then you're facing Dooku, the best duelist in the galaxy. So, you're cooked.
See, there was enough talking, and they both brandished their blades and rushed towards each other. The tide of the battle starts to turn. Dooku can sense in his surroundings the number of battle droids are decreasing. He can sense Anakin's fight. He's killed one of his attackers, but the remaining 6 are pushing forward and Skywalker's fatigue is rising. Dooku can sense the outcome of the battle. If they continue on this path, both he and Anakin will die here. Dooku pushes Maul back with the Force and summons the Force inside of him. Gathering what hint of his past connection to the dark side remained.
I was about to say, I hope he cooks them with fucking Force lightning. Bakes them.
Summoned Force lightning from his fingertips and sent it directly crackling into the ground below them.
Hell yeah.
With this, everyone's attention turned to Dooku as the bridge started to oscillate side to side, his lightning crackling completely through the stone, and the collapse of the bridge was imminent. However, instead of cracking the bridge towards the side connected to the city, his lightning was located around the center of the bridge in order to capture most of the Void's forces in the collapse. Dooku turns, locking eyes with Anakin, and uses the Force to push him back to safety on the side of the bridge.
Oh no.
Anakin stands, realizing what Dooku is doing. He's sacrificing himself to collapse the bridge and take down Maul with him, the last obstacle in their path to establish complete Confederacy control around the galaxy. But Anakin won't let him. He stands and goes to rush forward, but as his eyes meet Dooku's, his father sticks out his hand with the Force and signals for him to stop. Anakin becomes static as Dooku's voice enters his mind, telling his son to carry on their legacy, that the galaxy is now under his control and it's his duty to steer it down the correct path.
Truly emotional.
Maul senses what's happening and commands his Dark Warriors to attack Dooku whilst he turns and runs for it. It's gonna be close. The bridge cracks in half as the distant section falls with Dooku and the Dark Warriors falling to the deep chasm below. Anakin calls out to his father, but knows with this, he has become one with the Force. Maul only just makes it to safety, hanging from one of the durasteel bars that connected the top of the bridge, and stares down intensely at Anakin,
Oh, wow.
his deep yellow eyes fixated on his true target. But Anakin knows their fight will come, as he turns and gives
Maul can cook. I mean, Anakin can cook Maul.
up the invasion of Obadiah. Anakin returns to the Confederacy Senate with reports of Dooku's death. He explains how the Void have deceived them all for years, that they have all been secretly led by the resurgent Sith Lord Maul.
Wow.
For the last 4 years, they've been holding back their forces until now, and Anakin decides defeating them will become the top priority of the Confederacy. The Void is the last obstacle that stands in the way of the Confederacy bringing prosperity to the galaxy. Anakin contacts Mace Windu and the rest of the Jedi Council on Tython, and provides them with similar reports of Dark Jedi joining the Sith Lord Maul. Anakin asks them how many Jedi are unaccounted for. Following the Great Jedi Divide, Windu states that over 200 are unaccounted for.
200? You're telling me there's a possibility that Maul has 200 fucking Dark Jedi under him? That's just great.
They determined that a large portion of these must have joined Maul and the Void.
Wow.
Anakin asks them for support in the following fight against the Dark Jedi, who agrees and will provide him with a portion of their forces.
Let's go.
Meanwhile, on Nal Hutta, a totally different conversation was going on. Maul returned to where the leaders of the Void met. There was a representative from every crime syndicate faction as Maul took his seat at the head of the table, the position of the leader. He detailed how their mission was half of a success, that Dooku's death was key, and now only Skywalker remains. The leader of the Black Sun, Shizor, asked Maul what his plan for Skywalker was, that there's no way he has the power to defeat the Chosen One. But Maul simply smirks and tells him that his plan for Skywalker started the second he left Obadiah, that he will attack him where it hurts the most. After his call with the Jedi, Anakin returns to his home and he looks forward to seeing his wife Phoebe. After not hearing from her all day, he needed to see her face, to embrace her, to take away some of the pain he felt after losing Dooku.
Maul's gonna fucking kill his wife.
He'd kept a strong front all day, and only in front of her could he break down and express the sadness openly. But he walked through room after room looking for her, but she wasn't there. Her presence in the Force was here.
Oh, for fuck's sake. She's already gone, bro. She's cooked. Maul cooked her. She's done. She's done. She's gone. Dunzo.
But it was waning. Anakin starts to panic as he runs through his bedroom and onto his balcony to hear her scream, being carried away through the air by a group of Mandalorian warriors equipped with jetpacks. Anakin reaches out with the Force, but she's too far away and he can't grab her. He grips the metal balcony rail, crushing it in his fists as he screams in anger, watching them take her away whilst there's nothing he can do. Panic starts to ensue in the following hours. The Confederacy receives a declaration of war from Maul, who explains the Void's true goal to take back what they were promised by Dooku, and in conjunction with this, the territory that the Confederacy controlled. They unleashed the entirety of their forces as the Confederacy was forced to meet them in battle. Word of Anakin's wife's capture started to spread, which explained his absence during the Senate meetings. He spent all time in war meetings as Obi-Wan Kenobi was recruited to take over the temporary position as president of the Confederacy.
Yo! Oh, let's go, bro! Oh, yes! Jesus motherfucking Christ is president! Oh, yeah.
Until the war was over, Anakin spent a lot of his time coordinating...
I love that they actually agreed to that too, like they legitimately just agreed to having Kebabsik Kabobi Ubervan as president.
The war effort, planning battles, and spent some time on the battlefield. He wanted to win the war badly, but his primary objective was to find the location of where his wife was being kept. He can still feel her presence in the Force, so he knows she is alive. But he's afraid of what Maul might be doing to her. This pain almost becomes too much to bear as he starts to feel the emotions he felt during his early training.
Little Annie's depressed.
He can feel the dark side wanting to rise inside of him, wanting to burst like a flaming volcano on Mustafar, but he knows better. He won't tarnish his father's memory. He thinks of the last words Dooku left him, "Carry on our legacy," and knows to embrace the dark side would be an embarrassment to his memory. In these desperate times, Anakin wasn't opposed to using desperate measures to find Phoebe. He hired bounty hunters, professional spies, and master slicers, all with the objective of finding her. He suspected she'd be kept close to where Maul's primary hideout was, as he wouldn't risk letting his most important prisoner of war slip from his grasp. Over the following weeks, following her disappearance, the reports slowly came in from under his employment under one of his bounty hunters that had successfully infiltrated the Void's main bounty hunter force. Anakin knew this was his best option at finding her, since the crime syndicates had hundreds of bounty hunters under their payroll, and they wouldn't suspect another random one joining. This bounty hunter successfully snuck in one of the master slicers into the Void's main computer system to find the location of where Phoebe was being kept, the volcanic region of Sullust, a site of the Void's most dangerous
Sullust, bro, shithole.
They sent this information to Anakin, who acted immediately, mobilizing a fleet accompanied by 5 Jedi to her location. The bounty hunter's communication went silent after they'd launched, and Anakin suspected he'd been found out. But this didn't matter to him. He had the location of his wife, and even if the Void figured out where they were going, they wouldn't be able to raise their defenses in time. The Confederacy's forces come out of hyperspace outside Sullust and engage the Void's defenses in place. Anakin pilots one of the single-man fighters to join the other Belbalabs in his fleet to break the blockade to the planet and make his way towards the surface. As Anakin entered the atmosphere, he sensed something was wrong. He saw the location of the prison atop a mighty volcano station over the lava pits below. He could sense the dark side was here.
She's gonna fucking
Did Maul
die.
have prisoners here who could use the dark side? Anakin felt uneasy. Something was off, and he didn't know what it was. But most importantly, he could sense his wife was here, and he was determined to save her. He broke into the prison and used the Force to move stealthily, knocking guards unconscious without making a sound, and following Phoebe's presence in the Force until he turned the corridor to find her cell. He runs to the end and blasts off the door with the Force to find her standing there, tied up with a shackle on her face. Anakin ignites his blade to cut off the chains, but as he goes to take out the mouthpiece, he notices her eyes are bulging, like she's trying
like dead. She's dead.
Trying to warn him of something. He finally takes it out, and she tells Anakin that it's a trap, and points to Maul standing behind him with a band of dark warriors. Anakin now realizes
he's cooked. He's cooked. He's cooked.
His love has blinded him to what was really going on. He uses the Force to sense where they are. This prison is atop a volcano, and directly below them is a pool of lava waiting to engulf them, and they're trapped at the end of a long corridor. With the only ways to escape is through Maul and the Dark Warriors, or through the lava below. He turns back to Maul, who laughs at Skywalker, telling him there is now no way for him to escape. He will die here, and without the Chosen One, the Confederacy cannot defeat the Void. But Anakin stands there determined, blade still ignited. He knows he cannot lose this. He cannot fail Dooku, and gestures for his attackers to advance. They oblige Anakin's commands, and they rush forward. The snap hiss of crimson blades echoed down the corridor as Anakin engages all 5 of them. Anakin cannot make a mistake.
There's just 5 of them? Okay, Anakin's gonna cook them.
In this fight. His speed is his ally, as he must defend off all 5 directions, as well as respond with his own attacks. He gets the first break and cuts down one warrior, and uses this moment to kick another against the side wall. With this, the tide starts to turn, but Maul joined them. He was a level above the other Dark Warriors. Anakin went into a flow state, letting the Force guide his movements as one by one he started to cut down the Dark Jedi. They were no match for him, or his power, and he was motivated by the love he felt for Phoebe. He wouldn't let her down. he couldn't fail her again.
Of course.
Anakin thrusts his saber through the abdomen of the last warrior and goes to turn all of his attention to Maul, but he wasn't there.
You should give up.
He turns, looking down the corridor to see Maul holding Phoebe, but he wasn't just holding her. He'd cut a hole through the wall and was dangling her over the edge, directly over a lava pool situated 100 meters below. Maul smirks as he gives Anakin an option: defeat him and save the galaxy, or save his wife. He cannot do both. He may be the chosen one, but he isn't that.
Buddy, he can do that. Originally, he fucking took control of the embodiment of the dark and light side. So, Anakin, man, you got this, man. You can take control of this big, angry, red-looking cunt and your wife.
Powerful. Anakin screams at Maul, warning him to let her go or he will not hold back against him. Maul shrugs his shoulders and tells Anakin okay. He will let her go as he drops Phoebe as gravity takes over her body, pulling her down towards the lava pits below.
She's cooked, she's cooked,
Anakin
she's
doesn't
cooked, she's
hesitate.
cooked.
He sprints forward and jumps down after her, but mid-air, he looks back up to see Maul, whose expression changes from one of satisfaction to fear, as Skywalker reaches out with his hand and grasps it around Maul with the Force and pulls him down over the edge with him. The three of them were now in a freefall, as Anakin delves hands first, improving his aerodynamics and decreasing his air resistance.
Man, what's this Fortnite all looking fucking skydiving down to the Fortnite volcano?
Which allows him to catch up with Phoebe. He grabs onto her tighter than he ever has before.
Survive?
He feels Maul grab his foot, but Anakin pulls back with his other and kicks Maul square in the forehead, sending him flying away. Anakin turned back towards the lava below, now 40 meters away.
Well,
he conjured
Maul's
up
a fucking
all of
idiot.
his power in the Force and cast a Force bubble around him and Phoebe. He didn't know whether it would hold, but he didn't have another option. As they hit the lava, they didn't in fact burn, but instead, the bubble proved effective as they bounced off the lava, and Anakin used the extra time to pull a platform over to them, which was lava resistant, and landed down on it safely. Meanwhile, Anakin didn't see it directly, but he didn't need to. He and Phoebe heard the screams of Maul as he flew straight into the lava below, consumed by its flames, and
well, Maul, you're a fucking idiot.
The dark presence Anakin had felt when he arrived had now dissipated, lifeless. Anakin hugs his wife deeply as they make their way to the edge of the lake and ultimately escape from the planet. Reports of Phoebe's rescue disseminated whilst Anakin returned to the Confederacy Senate. He announced the death of the Void's leadership and how this would mark the first day of their defeat. He returned to full time as president, with Obi-Wan staying on as vice president, and together over the following weeks coordinated the war effort, driving the Void and their forces further into the Outer Rim until eventually the Void Council was captured, dead or alive. And with this, the war was finally over. Now the Confederacy were truly the sole governing power in the galaxy.
It shows how weak the power structure of the Void was, though, because Maul died and boom, suddenly they're just done for? Like, come on, man.
And Anakin could focus completely on creating the galaxy he and his father had envisioned. Months went by as the Confederacy slowly gained more and more territory that it had lost in the war with the Void, and they branched out into the Outer Rim as well as core worlds of the Republic. Over these months, they were forced to send their droid forces as part of their method to keep the worlds in line. But Anakin knew this was only temporary, as he didn't want the galaxy to be controlled by fear, but rather inspired to be unified under the Confederacy after they would see the change implemented.
That's a good sentiment.
They began implementing many policies, starting with economic reforms, privatizing energy and resources under the Confederacy government.
My guy's actually a good president. Wow.
And using the profits to fund the Universal Rights Act, the pioneering legal bill.
Fantasy Fulcrum, man. What are we doing here? Are we like getting into some JFK politics stuff? I mean, I'm liking this. I like politics. So this, you know what? I like this. Like, I'm a politics enjoyer, man. Attack of the Clones. Love it with all the politics. So yeah, I like how he's specifying all this stuff.
Of the Confederacy, which ensured every citizen, regardless of species, would have access to basic rights of housing,
literally Civil Rights Act, bro. Literally, I love it.
Food and water. This was only the beginning, and it was in its early stages, but this would set the precedent of what the Confederacy would become. A government that served the people, rather than institutions, exactly what Dooku had envisioned. One evening, whilst on their home on Sereno,
Confederate States of the Galaxy?
Anakin sat with his wife, his mother Shmi, and the rest of the Lars family. They enjoyed a meal together, talking about the past, but also how the good times are ahead with Anakin and his political reformations. Phoebe speaks up, telling them all that she has a surprise, that she's pregnant, and she and Anakin are having a baby girl.
Oh my god!
He can't believe it. He's always wanted a family, and the joy he feels is unexplainable. 9 months later, Phoebe gives birth to his first daughter, Darla, as he stands with her on the balcony.
Amidala? Okay, that has to have... Oh, is Anakin still simping on Amidala?
Looking across the grassy plains of Sereno as he sees something sparkle in the distance. 2 figures appear from the sparkle.
Force Ghost.
2 he will always recognize. The Force Ghost of his first master, Qui-Gon Jinn, and father, Dooku. They smile at him and Anakin returns the gesture. No words are said. They don't need to be. Anakin knows why they're here.
Beautiful.
They show him that they're proud of him and what he's accomplished with the Confederacy and his family. Anakin holds his gaze and is more determined than ever to lead the galaxy into a brighter future. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Wow, okay, so I know that I gave Part 1, which was made by Star Wars Galaxy, Part 2, which was made by Penti Patrol, both of them 10 out of 10, probably even more. They were both super good. And Part 3, I mean, Fantasy Fulcrum, man, you delivered. You delivered. It is a very, very great and poetic end, I'd say, to this 3-part story. So, I gotta give this a 10 out of 10 too. Like, I love this. It's a great what if. And, yeah, 10 out of 10. Let me know what you guys would rate this what if out of 10 in the comment section down below, whether you agree with my 10 out of 10 rating or if you don't, and why.
And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to Fantasy Folklore for more awesome what if content, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a like and turn on those notifications if you want to be notified next time I post a video like this. We of course react to a Star Wars what if every single day other than Fridays. Also, make sure to join our Discord server, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is the way I'm in the Force be with you. Until then, I'll see you next time.
Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.